All right, welcome back for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
This time we're jumping into Cassandra Clare's City of Fallen Angels.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, vampires, shadow hunters, forbidden romance, magic, the whole nine yards. Think of it like we're, just kind of peeking into this world,
Right.
seeing how different supernatural groups kind of clash and all the secrets and dangers and stuff. We'll meet Simon, he just turned into a vampire. Clary, she's a shadow hunter making these super powerful runes, and Jace, another shadow hunter with kind of a mysterious past.
A lot to unpack there.
For sure. So
Yeah.
are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that always gets me about Claire's work is how she takes those classic supernatural creatures, vampires, werewolves, the ones we all think we know,
Right.
but she throws them into this whole incredibly detailed world with its own rules and history.
Yeah. She really builds this intricate power dynamic. It's not just good versus evil. It's way more complex than that.
Totally. And you see that right away with Simon. He's become a daylighter, which means he can walk around in the sun, no problem. Not your typical vampire, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But even though he's got this unique advantage, he's still got to deal with all you know, the basic vampire struggles.
It's like the whole blood craving thing.
Oh yeah, constantly fighting that urge. And Raphael, the vampire leader, he's not making it any easier. Forbids Simon from feeding on humans.
Oh, right. So he's a vampire, but he can't really be a vampire.
Yeah, he's caught between worlds. And then there's that whole Mark of Cain thing.
Oh, yeah, the mark on his forehead, right?
Mm-hmm. Makes him unkillable, but also kind of sets him apart. Like, everyone knows he's different.
It makes you think about, what's the real price of power? Would you want to be immortal if it meant being completely alone?
That's a heavy question.
Yeah, it is. And then you've got Camille coming in with her whole, I can teach you spiel.
Oh, Camille. She's a tricky one. Offers to help Simon control his powers, something Raphael won't do, but there's always a but with her.
The price.
Always a price. In this case, betraying Raphael. Talk about a tough choice.
Honestly, I don't know what I'd do in that situation. Camille, I mean, she seems helpful on the surface,
Right.
but there's something, I don't know, just something about her.
She's definitely got an agenda. Master manipulator, that one. Always playing the long game.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if anyone in this world is actually selfless or if they're all just looking out for themselves.
It's like everyone's got an angle.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so moving on to Clary. Shadowhunter can create these runes, which are basically symbols with crazy magical power.
Some serious magic.
Yeah. And her and Jace, there's definitely some sparks flying between them. But their relationship, it's complicated.
Oh, yeah, tons of baggage. Jace's past, all the secrets they're both keeping. It's intense, for sure. But Clary's journey, it's not just about romance. She's learning to control her powers. Be responsible, protect her loved ones.
Which is hard enough as it is, right? But then you add in all the downworlders, the vampires, werewolves, all of them. Even with the Accords, there's still so much tension.
Yeah, the Accord, they're supposed to keep the peace, but it's like a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, really.
Some shadow hunters, especially the ones who remember Valentine, they don't trust the downworlders at all.
Rightfully so, in some cases. And then you've got those murders, the former Circle members.
Yeah, the ones who followed Valentine adds a whole other layer of danger.
It's like the past is coming back to haunt them. Like all that hatred, it never really went away.
Okay, so speaking of bad guys, we got to talk about Lilith. She's the main villain, and she's a greater demon with a serious god complex.
Oh, yeah, she's not messing around.
Yeah.
Wants to create this whole army of demon Shadowhunter hybrids using stolen blood, dark magic.
I mean, talk about ambitions. And she doesn't just, stay in the shadows either, literally.
Right. We see that with the whole abandoned baby thing in the news. Chillin' stuff. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty, bring the whole thing into the human world.
Raises the stakes. Okay, back to Simon for a second. Remember how we were talking about his blood cravings?
Yeah.
Well, he ends up biting Maureen, a human girl. Totally accidental, but still.
Big mistake.
Yeah, completely throws him off balance, makes him question everything.
And, of course, Camille sees this as an opportunity. Uses Simon's guilt, his fear, to manipulate him.
She's always got an angle.
Always.
Yeah.
And then, boom, we're at the climax of this whole section. This big confrontation on the roof of this, super fancy building that's still being built.
Oh, right, with Lilith holding Clary hostage.
Classic damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
And Jace has to choose Clary or Simon. And Lilith, She's using her magic, messing with his head, making him doubt everything.
It's brutal. And he ends up choosing Clary. Almost kills Simon.
Talk about a messed up situation.
It's rough. But then Simon, he does something incredible.
The mark of Cain.
Yeah, he uses it to kill Lilith. Sacrifices himself to save everyone.
Wow. I gotta admit, that was pretty epic.
Yeah, no kidding. But it definitely leaves us with a lot of questions, like, was it really a sacrifice? Or was it, I don't know, maybe a way out for him?
Yeah, and what about the consequences? I mean, he just destroyed a greater demon. That's gotta have some kind of fallout, right?
Oh, definitely. But we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.
For sure. So that's where we're gonna leave things for now. We'll be back soon to dive into the aftermath of Lilith's defeat.
Looking forward to it. You know, when you think about it, Simon's death, I mean, it's like, it just adds another layer to this whole identity crisis he's going through.
Oh, totally. He's a daylighter. He's got the mark of Cain. Now he's died and come back to life.
It's a lot. And it really makes you wonder, like, how are his family and friends going to handle this?
Especially his mom. She was already having a hard time with the whole vampire thing.
Yeah, that's a tough situation all around. His mom, she kind of represents that part of the world that just, like, can't wrap its head around the supernatural. It's too much. And it creates this painful distance between her and Simon.
Yeah, and it's not just his mom. He's also keeping his bandmates in the dark, Eric and Matt. They have no idea he's a vampire.
Right, so he's living this double life, adds to the whole isolation thing, you know? He can't really be himself with anyone.
Which is ironic, right? Because then we have Kyle, the new lead singer, and he just casually drops that he's a werewolf.
I love that scene. Like, it's just another day in their world. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm a werewolf. No big deal.
But it kind of highlights the danger that Simon's always into. Like, there are all these supernatural threats lurking around every corner.
For sure. And speaking of threats, remember those attacks on Simon?
The mugging that turned out to be something more.
Yeah, that. Definitely not random. It starts to feel like something bigger is going on. And remember those murdered former Circle members?
Yeah, the ones with the weird runes carved into them.
Turns out, Camille's behind it. Clary, Luke, and Maurice, they figure it out when they're investigating the Silent City, the Shadowhunter graveyard.
Okay, so now it's not just about Simon's personal struggles. It's like there's a whole conspiracy brewing.
Exactly. And we see just how deep Camille is in it when Simon gets summoned to her lair. This super creepy hidden room in an abandoned bank.
Very mob boss chic.
Totally. And Camille, she's just like laying it on thick,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Offering some knowledge, acceptance, all the things he's craving.
Well, always with a catch.
Always. It's like, is anyone in this world truly altruistic? Or are they all just manipulating each other?
It's kind of depressing when you think about it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So while all of this is going down with Simon, Jace is dealing with his own issues. Nightmares, weird urges, and then he cuts Clary with a silver dagger.
Not cool, Jace. Not cool.
No, not at all. It's like his past is literally haunting him. And the silver dagger, that's not just any weapon. It's a relic from his traumatic childhood.
Right, with Valentine. Okay, so at this point, Maris is freaking out. She has no idea what Camille's up to, so she calls in Magnus Bane. He's a warlock, super powerful.
Yeah, Magnus is the go-to guy for magical problems. And guess what? He and Camille have a past. A romantic past.
Oh, no way. So awkward.
It definitely adds some spice to the story. But more importantly, it shows how interconnected everyone is. Like, even enemies can be linked by these shared experiences.
So Clary, she's convinced that someone's using magic to control Jace. She asks Magnus to look into it, which he does.
And her instincts are right. The Silent Brothers, those creepy Shadowhunter monks, they confirm that someone's using hypnomancy on Jace. It's like dream magic, basically. Pretty messed up.
Seriously, dream magic. Who would even do that? And why?
Well, all signs point to some kind of angelic influence.
Angels. But they're supposed to be the good guys.
Right. It's a total mind bender. It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
And while all this is going down in the shadow world, Simon gets some devastating news. Maureen, the girl he bit, she's dead.
It's a huge turning point for Simon. Like, he's been trying so hard to control his vampire urges, but in the end, he's still caused harm. It's a lot to carry.
And then Isabel finds these photos in an abandoned church. Photos of these, like, horrific experiments. They look a lot like Valentine's work.
Uh-oh. So it's not just about Camille messing things up. It's like Lilith's plan is actually happening. She's creating more demon Shadowhunter hybrids.
Which is terrifying. And then Clary gets attacked by a demon at that same church. Luckily, Isabel shows up just in time with her Electrum whip.
Always gotta love a good whip fight.
And then boom, we're back on the roof of that fancy building. Simon gets summoned by Camille, but Clary and Jace are there too, along with a bunch of Lilith's creepy followers.
Talk about a showdown. It's
Yeah.
like all the tension of the entire book is building up to this one moment.
And Lilith, she forces Jace to make an impossible choice: kill Simon or watch Clary die. And Jace, well, he's still under Lilith's influence, so he chooses Clary.
So messed up. You can see how much it hurts him to do it, but he just, like, can't break free of her control.
But just when you think Simon's done for, he remembers something Clary told him about the power of love.
It's a really powerful moment. Like, even after everything he's been through, Simon still believes in love.
And then, as Jace is about to strike, Simon starts reciting the Shema, this Jewish prayer, and the mark of Cain, it just explodes with this blinding light. Lilith, it's gone, just like that.
Talk about a twist. It's like the power of faith, it was stronger than anything Lilith could throw at him.
But then the blast throws Simon off the roof, and, I mean, he's falling fast. Will he survive this?
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so last time, cliffhanger, right? Simon falling.
Yeah, after that whole Lilith explosion thing, pretty intense.
So did he, make it?
He did. It's actually kind of crazy. Wakes up in his own bed like nothing happened.
Well, except for, obliterating a greater demon.
Right. But the mark of Cain is gone. And Simon, he feels different. Lighter, somehow.
Okay, but there's a but coming, right?
Well, yeah. There's this smell, this intense, overwhelming smell of blood. His mom's blood.
Oh, no.
Like it's this primal urge he's never felt before. He manages to control himself, but still pretty scary.
Makes you think, even after all that, the whole hero thing, he's still fighting that darkness inside him.
Yeah, it's a constant battle, being a vampire. And it's not just Simon dealing with the aftermath. The whole shadow world's kind of in chaos.
I mean, yeah, Lilith's gone, but there's got to be some fallout from what Simon did, using the mark of Cain like that.
Definitely. And not everyone's thrilled about it. Jace especially. He's not doing so well. All that guilt eating him up.
Makes sense. He almost killed Simon, and Simon's the one who ended up saving everyone.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff. Jace is really struggling with the whole, good versus evil thing. The fact that Lilith could twist him like that.
Meanwhile, Simon, he goes to Luke and confesses about biting Maureen.
Oh, wow. Heavy confession.
Yeah. He's convinced he's, crossed a line. But Luke, I mean, he's surprisingly understanding.
Yeah, he actually encourages Simon to, embrace his vampire side. Says fighting it will just make things worse.
Huh. Interesting take. Accept the monster within kind of thing?
Kinda. It's definitely not the usual advice you hear.
But maybe Luke's right. Maybe trying to be something you're not is just, setting yourself up for failure.
Could be. So while all this is going down, Isabel, she's been looking everywhere for Simon.
Worried sick, I bet.
Yeah. And when she finally finds him at the Institute, she breaks down. And she tells him how she feels.
Wow. Big moment for Isabel. She doesn't usually let people see that side of her.
It shows how much she cares about him.
Yeah.
And how all that crazy stuff they went through, it brought them closer together.
Makes sense. Shared trauma bonding, right?
Something like that. So then there's this scene where Simon and Clary are talking. Just talking. On the rooftop garden.
Nice, peaceful moment.
Yeah. But Jace is watching them. And you can tell he's, having a realization that he can't control Clary. He has to let her make her own choices, even if it means losing her.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, but it's good for him, too. He's growing, learning to let go.
Okay, and the last scene. Simon and Isabel, alone in the lobby of the Institute.
That one's charged, man. You can just feel the tension, like something's about to happen.
Yeah, it's a perfect ending, really. Full of possibilities. You don't know what's going to happen next, but you know it's going to be interesting.
For sure. So I think what we can take away from City of Fallen Angels is that it's not just about vampires and demons and all that. It's about, real stuff. Love, loyalty, figuring out who you are.
Yeah, it's got all those layers, the struggle to fit in, the choices we make when things get tough.
And the book ends with this question. Now that Simon's died and come back, what's next for him? Will he become more a part of the shadow world, or will he try to, reclaim his humanity?
Big question. Guess that's something each reader has to decide for themselves. But one thing's for sure, City of Fallen Angels is a story that'll stay with you. It makes you think about the nature of good and evil, the power of love and faith, and the fact that even when things seem impossible, there's always hope.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we encourage everyone to check out this book, dive into this world, see what you discover, and until next time, keep exploring.